Okay, so moving along here, I'm going to use this next segment here to address some feedback. So there was a little bit of feedback here, and I decided that I wanted to share it. I'm looking at my my notes here, because it actually pertains to the next thing I'm going to talk about. So my friend Matt, who's a personal friend of mine, he's the one actually I mentioned. I think it was the last episode. Said he was going to be going back to school for his MBA. So gambate, Matt. So he had some feedback regarding the last episode, and it reads as such: just finishing up your episode. One thing in regards to your English teacher is to make sure you say something to administration. He's talking about the issues I've had over this semester with my English teacher. And he continues, I had a shop teacher in college wait till the last 4 days to grade work, and I failed my lab portion. Oh, that really sucks. I should have complained and probably would have gotten to retake the class for free. It's just the words of past experience. Well, thanks for the feedback, Matt. This actually is very pertinent to what I'm going to mention. Is I actually have dropped that English class. I dropped that, and I decided to drop the science class as well. Now, you might be wondering, why are you dropping the science class? Because you haven't even started it yet. If you're following along, yeah, I have not started it. The reason for that is because I used my experience with the English class as a basis to determine what to do with my science class. Ultimately, I finally kind of confronted my instructor about, just how I felt about the class. And it turns out that she was not grading our assignments and our work in a quick amount of time, because I guess her daughter was hospitalized for something. I don't know what it was. I didn't ask. Not really my business. But the thing about that is, while I sympathize for her, nobody obviously wants their child or any loved one in general to be in the hospital for anything. And I feel for her, and I did feel kind of like an ass, because I was saying, like, why aren't you grading our stuff, faster or whatever. But the thing is that I still don't really like the idea of my grade riding on personal problems at home. I mean, if I've got stuff going on at home that's going to detract me from work, then usually I need to take a day, and it's not, and if I do, it's not going to affect anything at work. Because at least, in my situation, I work in a factory, so, it'll just be business as usual there. Maybe when I worked in a very tiny shop, a year and a half ago, that might have been a different story, because there's only 10 of us there. So one person missing actually did make a big difference. But, where I work now, there's like over 100 employees. So it's not, you're just one little speck in the grand scheme of things. So it doesn't really matter if I miss a day of work. Obviously it'll look bad on my record, but as far as like workflow and all that, they don't really care. But when your job does require you to do things kind of in a timely manner, and when your work actually affects other people's success or failure, that's when I kind of take issue with that. And when, like, I also asked her if there was some way to resubmit papers, because if you remember last semester, my English teacher allowed us to edit and revise as many times as we needed to eventually get that A on that paper. If it took us all semester, that's what it took, and he was more than willing to do that. And when I asked my instructor this semester if there was something along those lines that we could do, she said if we were not in an accelerated course, then she would have allowed that. She would have allowed us to turn in our work again and revise it and bring that grade up. So that, when she told me that, that was the primary reason I decided to drop the class, because, you know, when I chose to try accelerated courses, you know, I was just basically putting my toe in the water and just seeing how well or how unwell this was going to work for me. And now I know. So, you know, that in combination with how she set up other things in the class, namely, like we had quizzes every other week, in addition to the discussion boards that we were doing. And those quizzes were set up in a way that they were timed, so we only had a half an hour to do them. Now, granted, you know, we're only talking like anywhere from 5 to 10 questions, depending on the material. So it's not like we really are going to be crunching in that time. But the thing that really kind of bugged me about it was the fact that this was the first course in all the classes I've taken so far that do not allow us to retake it. So for an example, my sociology class, we get quizzes every week, and every other week I think we get exams, which is just basically more questions, going over more material, blah 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 blah. So when we take either our quizzes or exams, we get 3 attempts at it. So say, you know, our quizzes average around 20 questions. So when we take that, we do that first attempt, let's say I got 15 questions right out of the 20. We have the option to retake it, and, you know, whatever method we choose to do, we can remember what those 15 correct answers were and then work on the other 5. So let's say then the second attempt, I get 18 out of 20. Okay. Well, we also get 3 attempts total. So now I have just those last 2 questions to work on. Remember the other 18 correct answers, because you get the same questions. The answers are jumbled up, but we're only, you know, we're talking 4 possible answers. It's multiple choice. So you just remember the correct answer that you got. And then if you get those last 2 questions right, then that means you got 100%. And the 100% is what's going to be the final grade. Now, let's say I got the 18 right on the second attempt, but the third attempt, for some reason, I got 17 right. Well, it'll still take the score based on the 18 that I got right. So it gives, you know, it takes whatever attempt had your highest score, and it's going to make that your final grade. And that's after 3 attempts. So, like, for example, I took my quiz yesterday, and I used all 3 attempts, but by that final attempt, I got 100% on it. And now I have 100% as the grade for that. Whereas if I was going on just my first attempt, it would have been 80%, because I think I got 4 questions wrong. So that's, to me, that sets us up to succeed. And I mean, that's on us. It's on us if we want to do that second or third attempt. Maybe sometimes people only have time to do 1. And I mean, that's their thing. I'm not going to say anything about that, but you know, maybe people just think 80% is good enough. I mean, you know, it is still a B. But for me, I can easily get, you know, I know I can at least get a higher grade. Whether that's going to be 100% or not, you know, it's debatable. So far, so good in the sociology class. But in the English class, excuse me, we only got 1 attempt. That was it. So it was, not only was it timed, but we only had 1 shot at it. So, you know, if I got 7 out of 10 questions right, that's it. I have a 70%, and I can't do anything to change that, which I find unacceptable. That, you know, to me, and I mean, when I dropped the class, I also wrote her a very lengthy email, explaining this, because I did not want to drop the class with her thinking that I could not afford it, I couldn't afford the tuition, or that I thought the material was too hard. I wanted her to know that the reason I dropped the class was because I found her method of structuring the class unacceptable and setting us up to fail. Or I should say, at least giving us more opportunity to fail than succeed. Because if we had multiple attempts on those quizzes, then we learn from our mistakes, which I feel is the best way that anybody's going to learn anything. Doesn't even matter if it's school or on the job training or whatever. If you make a mistake and you learn from it, then you're gonna have that. You're gonna have that for next time, and you're actually gonna retain information better, in my opinion. Like that's how I'm learning stuff from the sociology course. Is that I'm like, oh, I got that question wrong. I should research that. It forces you to go into the book and look up the correct answer, or maybe even search Google. It is an online class, so we can, we have free access to do that. So, I mean, it's just, I would much rather drop the class now and then hope that, well, for one thing, I probably will not sign up for the next because I'm going to obviously have to take this again in the future. But I am not going to do that until I switch over my schedule, because for those of you following along, you already know that this fall I'm likely going to have to switch back to working nights. So I leave my mornings open for classes, because I'm probably going to have to start the university stuff next fall. So chances are that's when I'm going to tackle the English class again, because I feel, well, for one, I hate taking online classes because I feel there's something missing when you're taking a class online. I mean, don't get me wrong, it actually is kind of an easier way to do things. So, if that's what you're looking for, maybe online's the way to go. Me, I like being in a classroom. I like seeing the teacher face to face, working alongside my other students. And I mean, the whole reason I did that video about the vaginal monologues is because I heard about it in class. It was one of my fellow students that brought it up and invited us to come out and check it out and all that. And I'm not going to get that if I'm taking all my classes online. And that's what I want. That's part of the college experience to me. I don't want it to just be sitting behind a computer and just, inputting multiple choice answers and typing out papers here and there. I don't know. I just feel you're not getting the full experience out of it. So yeah, that's why I decided to drop the English class. Now, with the science class, I decided to play on the err on the side of caution in regards to the science class. For all I know, it would have been fine. I would have had more than enough opportunities to succeed and get a good grade, and that would have been the end of it. But I decided that, more likely than not, it was going to be set up in a similar structure. Maybe not, like you only get one shot at a quiz or whatever. But it likely, if there were papers involved and stuff, we probably wouldn't have the option to resubmit either. So I decided that, I'll just take the hit. I mean, I did lose, some money as far as tuition goes, because I was somewhere around like the halfway point in the class. And so, that tuition money is lost, and I'll have to pay it again, in the following semester. But at the same time, I'm also not paying that money for the science class. So if anything, I might actually get a little bit of money back, get like a slight refund, because I dropped it before I took it. So technically you get like 100% refund, and I still had a balance on there, but the balance was less than what the tuition would cost for the class. So I should be getting something back. But I did when did I do the drop? I think it was like Friday night. So I probably won't know anything until sometime during this next week to find out, if I'm getting money back or whatever. But at this point, now I'm only down to 2 classes. So this is going to be a very kind of slow going semester, I guess, because I still have my history class, obviously, and then I got the sociology class. That's pretty much all I got. So now there is like zero. Like I mean I always figure there's no excuse anyway to get a bag, to get a failing grade, or in my opinion any grade that's lower than an A. So now I have, you know, a lot more time available to me to work on my other classwork. For the moment, I've been putting a lot of that time into doing stuff like this, you know, playing around with the YouTube and the video editing and all that. So hopefully as I get more and more accustomed and used to doing all the video work, you know, then I can, you know, focus less on that, and then, you know, go get back to doing my studies and all that. So yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's not gonna be a cakewalk, but you know, it'll definitely be a lot easier with only 2 classes to worry about.